and I thoroughly hope you had an amazing day on Christmas. Even if you don't celebrate, I just hope you had an amazing day anyway. So I'm now going to be doing my final thoughts on Elf. So as I said in my review, I had a few issues with certain aspects of like the plot and the acting and all that kind of stuff. Just because, again, I felt it would have been a really great contrast if he went from this very pleasant, this very kind of floss, Skittles, lovely land to this gritty realism, and I feel like they didn't really portray this realism as well as they could have. Now, yes, granted, it's a kids movie, but I don't really like using that excuse because just because it's a kids movie doesn't mean it can't show gritty realism. Heck, I even think Disney does a bit of a better job of showing that, because he went from this, again, really nice, happy place where, yes, he's a fish out of water in both aspects, and I feel like they did that really well, showing the fish out of water in both aspects. But with the gritty realism, there was nothing that kind of really showed him thoroughly changing, because he really just pointed out about the taxi drivers and someone just kind of got mad at him. That was really all that happened. I felt like if there was a few more kind of realistic things that would have happened, that would have been a bit better, and for him to have to slowly try to change people. Heck, I would have preferred if this movie was over like 2 or 3 parts. Like, first of him was just growing up in the factory, because I feel like that was very kind of cut through. Second of him realizing that he has a father, and then the third one, him actually in New York walking around. I feel like if it was over 3 parts, it actually would have been really good. But for what they did, it's a kind of a, I actually don't know how long it goes for. It probably goes for like an hour 30, hour 40 minutes. So for even though the really short time they have, they did a good job. But I felt if they did it over like 2 or even 3 parts, they could have fleshed some stuff out a whole lot better. And so this doesn't really have to do with Elf, but I did just want to talk about Christmas movies, and in all honesty, this is going to be very quick, because the thing I always wonder, horror movies are constantly getting remade, horror movies are constantly getting adaptations, prequels, sequels, all that kind of stuff. They're making new ideas, same thing as really any other movie. How come Christmas movies, there's never really a new Christmas movie out in theaters? There's never really a new sequel or prequel. Like, I personally would love to see a sequel to Elf, just to see how he's coping with a child. Because he's kind of grown up in a childlike atmosphere. How would he deal with having one himself? So sometimes I feel like with certain movies that there's another story waiting and they just don't do anything with it. Like, I really like the Santa Claus movie, and I'm kind of glad it finished there, because I don't know where they could have gone with a 4th one, but if they figure one out, I would accept that with open arms. But some of them, heck, even something like Christmas Carol, Christmas Story or something, I don't know, something like that was written by Charles Dickens, and it's, you know the story, it's when this person gets visited by 3 ghosts, all that kind of stuff. If they could even just show another movie of his backstory, and I think they may have done that with Scrooge, I'm not entirely sure if that is a backstory, I haven't actually seen that, but if that's what they did, that would have been amazing, because you never really find out why he's kind of doesn't like Christmas and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like in Christmas movies there are storylines, there are more stories you could go with, but they just don't get made. So my personal thing is, Hollywood, stop trying to reboot Halloween, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Stop trying to do that and focus on movies that could potentially be made. Like, I honestly feel like Christmas movies is something like horror movies you could just make an infinite amount on. Like, you got like Grinches, you got people who love Christmas, all that kind of stuff. You could make a lot of movies about that. However, with that being said, Netflix does have a couple of good Christmas movies. I'm not entirely sure if they'll still be up, but if you do have Netflix, check out some of them, because they are quite good. But this is just my opinion. Art is subjective, so don't be too protective. Basspick out.